Partial rebuild of a Stuart 10V steam engine, part 8. Completing the job begins with fitting the slide valve spindle and packing the steam chest stuffing gland, setting the valve timing and adjusting the settings until the engine runs, as can be seen at the end of the video. This was not an easy job owing to the poor condition of the engine. But it's not all bad news. I do like a challenge sometimes. Here I'm removing the gland nut, and before packing the stuffing gland I'm just checking to make sure there are no remnants of the old packing left in the hole. The hole drilling on this engine really is all over the place. Have a look at the steam chest. But never mind, it's top tip time. When you pack a stuffing gland that has a threaded nut, it's quite important to make sure you pack it in the right direction. Always wind the yarn in a clockwise direction. That way when you tighten the nut, it tightens the gland packing. Doing it the other way can cause problems because as you tighten the nut, it unravels the packing inside the gland. This is also important. Plenty of oil on all of the parts. But don't forget, when you use lubricating oil to lubricate the cylinder, make sure that it is steam oil, not machine oil, not engine oil, and not bearing oil. Some oils attack the silicone O-ring and make it swell, then you have a problem. WD-40 will also do the same thing, so after a steam run, by all means use WD-40, but put some steam oil through it with compressed air to blow it all away. In this clip I'm trying to find the optimum position for the slide valve relative to the ports, and it's nowhere near the centre of the thread. Just about everything on this engine is not quite right. The dimensions are wrong in certain areas, but I have to live with this. But I'm not complaining. I took on this job only because I thought it would make a good video. I didn't charge the customer anything for doing the job because really it is wholly impractical, and you have to be very careful when you buy engines online because sometimes the fix can be long and drawn out and therefore expensive, not only in parts, mainly labour. It's not just buying online. The problem with buying online is you're normally working from a photograph which doesn't tell you the full story. You can't beat having a hands-on to make sure that what you're buying does what it's supposed to do, and this certainly did not. In this clip I'm refitting the studs and tightening the nuts. And as I say many times in these videos, do not over-tighten small nuts and bolts. It's time to set the timing. I always start with the largest lobe of the eccentric sheave at 90 degrees to the crank pin. And depending which side of the crank web you set the timing depends on the rotation of the engine, clockwise or anti-clockwise. It's nearly time to connect some compressed air to the engine to see if it works. But before I do that, I'm putting plenty of steam oil into the steam chest. After rotating the engine by hand for a while, I connect the airline and engage the spring clip that holds the airline firmly onto the piece of pipe which is the steam inlet. The engine starts with a surprising amount of oil coming out of the exhaust, but this is normal. I put plenty in there. The engine bursts into life, but the valve timing is wrong, so I adjust it and try again. This feels a whole lot better, just a tiny bit more I think, so I slacken off the grub screw and move the eccentric a fraction to the right. Then I open the air valve on the compressor. My workbench is a soundboard, so it amplifies any mechanical noise. In this clip, I sat the engine on a piece of Scotch-Brite, but it was immediately a lot quieter. You can hear the difference as soon as I remove the Scotch-Brite. Now's the time for a few high-speed tests. As I turn up the air pressure, I notice some slight leaks around the gasket, and this is an easy fix. I just tighten the bolts, but not too much, just enough to stop the leaks. These small ring spanners are very useful for this job. My ear tells me that things are not quite as they should be, and the reason for that is the valve is not equidistant across the ports, so I think one turn should make a difference. And that's what I'm doing here. I remove the drive pin, rotate the valve spindle one turn and put the drive pin back in place. Also, I'm having another tweak of the eccentric. This eccentric sheave is a bit of a disaster area. I cannot tighten it up, and I've tried packing it and it still doesn't work. So what I did in the end was put some lock nuts on the top bolts and just leave it slightly slack. Eventually, as it wears, it should be possible to tighten it further, but not at the moment. Despite this though, the engine does actually run very well. It's a bit of a rattler at certain speeds, and I would think that's something to do with the fact that the crosshead doesn't actually touch the guide and the eccentric strap is quite loose on the sheave. But the good news is the bearings are still in very good order. As you can see, the flywheel's pretty good since I remachined it too. It's running quite concentrically. There's a bit of side-to-side play, but you do expect that. And that is all I have to say in this video. The job is now complete. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.